Hey friends, welcome to our cozy garden. If you're new to our channel, my name is Randy and we are edible and cut flower gardeners here in Zone 3, Alberta, Canada. So last year we planted a lot of perennials and annual cut flowers. We have peonies, different types of peonies in there. We have tulips, we have daffodils, we have David Austin roses, we even have astilbes. And once we harvest those cut flowers and put them in bouquets, we'd like our bouquets to look full and lush. So that's why today we are starting what we call our filler plants. And we have a variety of filler plants that we're using for this purpose. These seeds we've collected over the past few months, knowing that we will need them as fillers for our bouquets on our cut flower garden this year. So the first one is Statice. This one is called Supreme Mixture from West Coast. And it has the red, pink, white, blue, yellow, and the purple colors in it. Now, I've seen a lot of cut flower farmers use Statice as filler, but apparently they're also great as dried flowers. So that's our first one, Statice Supreme Mixture. So the next one we have Amaranth. I have two varieties in here. I have Amaranth Green Tails, also from West Coast, and then I have the Amaranth Love Lies Bleeding, very dramatic, from Renee's garden. Amaranth is edible, so we're excited to use it not just as filler but also for other edible purposes. The third one is Gypsophilia Covent Garden, or commonly known as baby's breath. And I did not realize I have the same variety from two different suppliers. This one is from Sarah Raven and this one is a Mackenzie. Now I've read that baby's breath is mildly invasive, so I need to make sure that I put them in a pot and then make sure that they don't seed in place. Otherwise I'll have tons of them everywhere for next year. The next one is Feverfew Tetra White, and this one is from Johnny's. I've also seen a lot of cut flower farmers grow this as filler, so we're excited to have it in our garden this year. Next is Ami Magus, and this one is from RHS, or Royal Horticultural Society. I think they're based in the UK. And this one will be another first for our garden. We're excited to have it as fillers for our bouquets if they flower successfully. And the last one is Basil. This one is called Lettuce Leaf from Mackenzie, but I'll be honest, I'm more excited with using the basil leaves for cooking. I love using it along with fresh tomatoes for pastas and other recipes. But once they flower, we can use those as fragrant fillers for our bouquets. Another thing that I'm very happy about is I finally have the Mini 20 soil blocker. This one, I initially wanted to buy it from West Coast Seeds, but it will take too long to get here. So I researched and realized that I can get it here in Lee Valley here in Calgary. So I'm starting all of these filler plants in our new Mini 20 soil blocker, except for the basil, which I'm using to fill up and make use of these empty spots within my ranunculus tray, because I'm pretty sure I'll be harvesting the basil more than everything else in this lineup. So I'll just put them in there, make use of the spot, and I'm planting it separately. Anyway, if they're done with the leaves and they're ready to flower, then I can use them as filler plants as well. I'm standing up because I find it's easier to make soil blocks that way. You can push the soil down like that. So let's get this out of the way and make our soil blocks. So I find that the best soil block medium to use is soil that has good moisture, enough that when you squeeze them, they would retain some moisture, but not too much that they would be dripping. So let's see if I have it right. Okay. So at least they hold shape, but my concern with this is I have too many organic matter in there. It's too big for the soil blocker that we're using. If it's a soil blocker bigger than this, most of it should be fine. Okay, so the soil I'm using, this is a combination of garden soil, some organic matter from the garden, some crushed eggshells, and perlite. So at least it holds its shape like this. This should be okay to make soil blocks with. So it's our first time using this small one. So we'll see. I'm used to using the bigger one, which is 1.5 by 1.5 inch square. This one is 3/4 of an inch square. Okay. So I just make a thick layer like that, and then push it down, wiggle a bit, double check to make sure that I have full soil blocks. Ooh, might even be too thick. Okay, so our first Mini 20 soil blocks of and they look nice. Quickly show it to you. So what I love about these Mini 20 soil blocks is they save you a lot of space, because then you can plant one seed per 3/4 of an inch, and there's so much you can put in a 10 by 21 grow tray. So now you're saving space, and whatever soil block the seed doesn't grow in, you can just take that out . So I'm using this to fill in some of the gaps that we have. Okay, that's our mini 20 soil blocks for our filler plants, and a lot of them look so wonky. Some of them are breaking apart, but we'll see how they hold up in the next few weeks. One thing I learned, use growing medium with really fine particles if possible. No sticks, no organic matter like this. And the eggshells that I used were too big. They weren't crushed well, so I was in a hurry. But other than that, I think they are fine with seed starting, and we should be able to use them to start our filler plants. But before I do that, before I use our soil blocks, I'd like to fill this up quickly. These empty spots within our ranunculus tray, so that I can put them back in the shelf. So again, we're planting our basil on these empty spots on our ranunculus tray. I want to make sure I maximize this space. So we have our lettuce leaf basil, and with this, I'm not too particular with planting. I can just sprinkle them on top of the soil. Then let's cover it with some loose soil. Finally, some vermiculite. Okay, so while May is doing the seed sowing on this side of our table, she's doing the filler plants, I am making more soil blocks using the mini 20 soil blocker, and this time this is for some more indoor sown snapdragons. If you've seen our previous video, it was just a high-speed video. We did show 5 varieties that we're planting for this year, but those were winter sown, so they are outside, happy, and waiting for the warm weather so that they can come up. This one, we are starting indoors using our small soil blocks. Now, we have our Costa Silver, we have our Potomac Yellow, we have our Bridal Pink, and we have our Early Bronze, Opus 3 Early Bronze. We also have Costa Apricot and Potomac Ivory. So the first, how many was this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The first 6 ones are from Johnny's, and this one we just bought it last year. It's from Sarah Raven. This one is called Night and Day. So I'm doing that as well. I don't think I have a lot planted outside, as you've seen in the previous video, so we're adding more to our Snapdragon plants. So I'm running out of growing mix. I realized that peat moss is too acidic on its own as a growing mix. So I bought this Miracle Grow potting soil, but still I realized it has quite a lot of debris in it, organic matter, organic debris, and it's not the best for mini soil blocks. For the bigger soil blocker, maybe you can get away with it, but with this one, I just have to clean it as I go. But this is what we have, and we really have to start our indoor snapdragons as well. So I'll do that. So because the soil blocks is so tiny, I feel like I have to press it, compact it this way, so that I would fill the space for the soil block as much as possible. I mean, you don't have to if you have good quality soil, but I'm using soil with lots of debris,